Allegiance, and the flag is here tonight instead of there. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Any changes or additions, adjustments to the agenda? I'm going to flip flop number 5 and 6 so that when after our departments go, we will have our zoning committee presentation before we do the rest of our general business of the meeting, so that you guys can present. We have time for that, and then we can have a night off after a while, not right away. Our meeting minutes from June 8th to 2026, and they've been revised a couple of times with some edits. I think everybody has the latest version of those minutes, so.
I move to accept the minutes.
Okay. Moved, second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
All right.
And then we have 2 abstracts, abstract number 24, which is from our previous fiscal
Yeah,
year.
that's wrapping up ones for fiscal year 25-26. And abstract number 24 is in the amount of $35,054.43.
So move.
By Dan,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Fine.
And then abstract number 2 for the new fiscal year 26-27 is in the amount of $317,649.08.
So move.
A lot of that is our not only health insurance, but our general liability insurance, et cetera.
So move.
Second.
And seconded, and they've all been audited.
It's
I looked them over.
Okay. All in favor?
Well, there was-
I'll make sure it's in there.
The second, we didn't do the bills twice on that one, on the insurance, no.
no, it wasn't submitted the first time, so I just reused the form.
Yeah, they're all set.
Okay, that's fine. Just want to make note of it. That's all. Okay. So for our departments, the fire department, the chief is not here. Did he leave anything with you, Dan, or
I got it.
Karen, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
He had a couple, yeah.
I only have one.
Okay.
Lisa, and I really can't say her.
Rahova.
What?
Rahova?
Yeah. And she's going to be working in the medical part of the fire department. So move.
Second. Everything seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else for the fire?
No, he's just waiting for the letter. Going to move forward and some of the things he needs to get started.
Okay. DPW, we have Tyler here tonight, are there memos?
Also a couple of updates on some road work. Crack sealing of the entire Brookside neighborhood will be hopefully started later this week. We were hoping for Wednesday, obviously today's rain day pushed them back a day. He's hoping to be in Thursday. Gonna do it in sections, so it's not gonna disrupt the whole neighborhood at one time. Cash and obviously Shady will be split up. Half of Brookside Lane and then Middle Streets will be split up as well. There'll be notices going out the night before. Your street will be done. And want some vehicles moved for at least an hour if you have to get out within that hour. Crack seal was completed on June 12th. That's just a pre-treatment before micro. And we're gonna be working on the sidewalk along the Fayetteville Grant here. Got pushed back another week by UDIC. Most of the gas services along Spring Street, they need to back locate, so we're looking at tomorrow or Thursday as they really. And then I have one quote for the Leadview Canal true work that we talked about. This is between Windridge and Old Dyke Way from Hunt. There's numerous dead trees along backyards of homeowners, kind of close to fences, a lot of dead ash, they're still standing. The DPW is actually gonna work with Bartlett to eliminate as many of those trees as we can get to that are hazardous and dangerous to properties. The proposal is for $18,000. It was a general proposal to try to get the work up to that number. We felt it would be higher than that, but 18,000 was the amount we get back.
Only along Windridge?
For now, it's along Ring Bridge because the amount of dead ash that's actually in
Right.
that section, and we've already had a few homeowners call. The trees have fallen.
Where did they take
towards-
them down? On the east side? You can't go in on the west side, right?
Yeah, well, we have access from a couple spots. We've taken down at least 1 or 2 trees back there in the last couple of years. We're gonna clear cut a little bit of the brush and they're actually gonna fell them with ropes. They can't climb the ashes. So they're gonna fell
where
them
the grapple-
across and the DPW will be there with a grapple truck and guys, excavator to pull it right out immediately. We'll clean it all up as we go. But it's
So you're gonna do this off a school property
Nope,
on the other side?
it's off of Hunt. It goes towards the school, but it doesn't actually go all the way back to the school.
The distance that you're covering is not gonna go all the way back to the school.
Correct.
Okay.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Sounds complicated.
It is.
I know it is.
We're not
I know it is.
doing the majority of the cutting until it's on the ground, so that'll be the safe spot.
18, did you say 18,000 is the quote?
So motion to sign the contracts with Bartlett Tree Service for up to $18,000 of work on those trees. Moved by-
Before we vote on that, can I just make a comment? I just wanted a point of clarification. The Ledyard Canal itself is property of the village. But the location that you're talking about of this portion of the canal is not within the village boundary.
It's not a village boundary, correct?
But I do want everyone to know that we're doing this outside of the village boundaries because we own the canal. And we need to make sure that that area is safe.
We have a 20 foot right of way off the middle on each side of that.
Okay.
Obviously, the one right of way falls into town
Yeah.
property, so they have a right of way too. They did some clear cutting, or not clear cutting, but
Yeah,
cutting along the roadway.
Okay.
But this is more the backside of the property. The property's on Old Dyke Way.
It was supposed to be 25 feet when they did the survey, but there was a lot of people that objected to it because their surveys on their homes over the road, some.
Yeah, a lot of fence lines and yards fall within
It's supposed to be 25 feet from the middle.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I move to accept the
So you've
proposal.
moved. Do I have a second?
second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Other than that, as you can see, we've had quite a bit of tree damage and stuff, not so much on village trees, but I think on properties. I saw a lot of brush coming in today, so, people will be patient with that. We'll be out tomorrow, picking it up all day, and I'm sure a little bit on Wednesday. Hopefully we can get it wrapped up by Wednesday. So,
I think one more silly little kind of comment on. Oh, that street, it might be Spring Street. And. Orchard. There's a branch just dangling.
Okay.
Into the street. And I'm surprised it didn't come down with the high winds, but I don't think it came down with that. So if you guys could just Find
what
it.
should you say?
take it down. I don't think you have any wires to worry about.
Okay. Anything else for DPW?
You guys have something to read?
Tyler's working on trying to get an estimate from Bartlett.
Yes, we got hit some more news tonight, so we'll eventually we'll get some trees that were on our plan or even on.
Been waiting.
So,
Thanks, Tyler.
thanks for your diligence on that.
Tyler and I spent a lot of time over on Orange Street. We're all set to go, just everything get in place.
Another U-dig delay.
On the no parking on one side of Warren Street that we approved quite a while ago. You're
You
trying
know,
to
they've
get
been
this
there
done.
recently to do some gas work. They need to locate at one spot, which the entire road is on one ticket for street signs and they pushed us out. So
Wow.
it's Thursday, the 24th, as soon as we can get them in.
Okay.
All right, one more question since we got you here. The bridge, you and I saw the bridge off of Lincoln and Spring.
Right.
The corner got nipped by something. What's
Oh,
the status of that?
We
Did it
actually
hit
have a
again?
quote for the work.
I don't know what again means.
No, I don't
but
think
yeah,
it
it's
got
been-
fixed from last year when
Okay.
I got that.
I know-
No, it did got hit again from last year, right?
It got hit again.
Yeah,
I think on top of maybe the damage before, I'm not sure if people are down there.
You can't,
yeah, he and I were talking.
you can't make that turn. No, it's gotta be a pole in there.
I don't think. I'm sorry, you can't make that turn. I see plenty of but big yellow buses making that turn. So whoever's
Well,
not making that,
With trucks.
But
right,
One
anyway,
We
fact in
submitted,
particular
we
that
submitted
shouldn't
it
be that
to
term.
insurance,
Okay,
so we have some funds on that, now we're just looking to see who can do the work.
okay,
Not our insurance, to the.
They're theirs, we
The company that did it.
correct,
Thank you.
Right, so insurance submitted to a insurance company, not our insurance.
right.
But we do have a quote for that work to be done, so.
okay. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome to stay, but if you're ready
Thank-
to go, you can go too.
Thanks,
You don't
Albert.
work out.
Thank you.
That's,
Be safe.
okay. All right, next on our agenda, we are going to,
I have one thing for the.
clerk, sorry.
Skip me.
That was
Always
next
have
on
to
our
keep
agenda.
going.
I didn't say what next was yet.
Oh,
Nice catch. No, I just have one item. I have another solicitor's permit request. And this is for a nonprofit group that annually comes through NYPIRG, New York Public Interest Research Group. And they have, it's like 7 individuals that have, gone through the background checks. And everything seems to be in order. So we're just looking for permission to submit a permit with the same parameters.
So moved.
second,
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Doing a nice job moving along here.
All right. So next on the agenda, we have our zoning committee presentation. And tonight we have members of the EDR staff that helped our committee through this process. And we have Sam Gordon, all from EDR, Sam Gordon, Lisa Nagel, Lawrence Howard, and Mackenzie Kinsey. And they are going to offer a presentation to us tonight about the work that they did with our committee that was appointed to look at our zoning and update our zoning codes.
We have one member of our committee here.
And we got Diane as a committee member, and I didn't know if we had. And
Yeah,
we
we
then
all
we have,
have
and then we
And
have,
Mark.
Will these be something that we will have access to? That we can
Yeah,
post?
yeah, it'll be posted afterwards, yeah,
Yeah, and this is recorded, so it'll be available online for anybody to watch.
okay,
And we have some materials that we've distributed to you. You should have at your seat. And then, yes, we'll share the presentation afterwards. We can put, the slides could be put up on the website just as well.
so you're gonna be using that, so if anybody needs to turn around or turn chairs around or anything, you're welcome to move things around, they're not passing to the ground.
Sam's had more since.
I think it's good that everybody stand up anyway, so make you move.
I know, it's like.
Okay.
Okay.
You all can see the screen.
Yes.
So, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Village Board, for having us here this evening. We are going to be presenting kind of an overview of the work that was done to update the village's zoning ordinance, which really was a comprehensive update by our team. And it followed the guidelines that were set forth in the village's comprehensive plan, which EDR had also worked on. So we introduced our team already. We're gonna talk a little bit about why we updated the ordinance, or why we're in the process of updating the ordinance, and then give you some background on what we did to update it. And then if there are questions, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. It's really important to recognize that there are many people involved in this process. There was a steering committee, as we already stated. There are several members from the committee that are here this evening, and members of our consulting team that have been working with the village. There were quite a few meetings of that committee. There was a lot of back and forth in reviewing different iterations of the work that our team put together. And ultimately, that the steering committee felt that their work of overseeing an update that followed the guidelines of the comprehensive plan was complete. And so it was now time for the village board to consider the adoption of this proposed ordinance. So why update the ordinance? The existing ordinance, the ordinance that's in place today, was adopted in 1985, which I was 11 when it was adopted. And there have been updates since 1985, but sort of piecemeal in fashion, trying, I'm sure, to keep on top of things that the village was facing over time, and perhaps things that the planning board or even the zoning board had encountered. So because of that piecemeal fashion, is really at this point in time made a lot of sense to just kind of start from scratch and follow the best practices that have that we now know from since 1985. So that means changing the terminologies that are in the zoning ordinance, updating some of the techniques or approaches to how we do zoning, and also to create a code that really meets today's needs. And that's some of that are things that were covered in the comprehensive plan, which talks a lot about demographic changes that the village is experiencing, as is many of the community, as are many of the communities in Onondaga County. So one of the things that the code really focuses on is how can we provide different opportunities to meet the housing demands that we have today. And it's important in the context of New York State. So first, comprehensive plans are not required by state law. They are optional, but once you have a comprehensive plan, your zoning ordinance is supposed to be follow the recommendations of the comprehensive plan. So the village has updated the plan, and now we're working on this update to bring the village's zoning ordinance in line with the recommendations of the comprehensive. And in the comprehensive plan, there is a future land use plan, and in that future land use plan, it identifies specific character areas followed with zoning. So this process came back in 2024.
We're back.
Kickoff meeting with the steering committee and
Just went out, but it says you're in it says it's unstable.
I don't know. Stakeholder focus group meeting with representatives of the Planning and Zoning Board. And we also had a public meeting in 2025 where we presented some of the draft information about the updated use table, the updated districts.
Zoning.
What's
So,
that?
updated zoning map, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And we did also host office hours, so there was a public meeting that anyone could attend at their leisure, and then we had some specific sessions here. So that people, if they had specific questions about the code, they could come in and talk with our team, and we could answer any questions that they had about the code. And then just in this year, we had a second public meeting where we presented the full code, the zoning map, the use table, and the design guidelines that are proposed. So that all that information was made available to the public to review. We did get some public feedback from that process, and we did take a look at that feedback with the steering committee and incorporated some changes based on the feedback that we received. And that's reflected in the documentation that you've received this evening. And now we're starting really the adoption process. So tonight we're presenting to the village board, and the village board is going to need to take some specific steps to go through our secret process in New York State. The draft code or proposed code will need to be referred to the county planning board for review. And there will be public hearing, at least one public hearing before any adoption. So that's kind of the step that we're in now, is the board preparing itself to be ready to go through that process. All right, so what are the major changes to the code? It is I don't think I can emphasize enough. We've updated the whole code, right? So it's not your code as it exists today. It's a wholly new code. Definitions have been updated. We've tried to simplify and make the code more user friendly. We've consolidated some of the zoning districts that are currently in the village based on the guidance of the comp plan. And we'll also have created a use table, which you didn't have previously. And the benefit of the use table for any user of the code, whether it's a developer who's coming into the village or a village resident that wants to make some changes to their property, it's easy to know once you know what district you're in, what uses are allowed in that district or any district in the village. It's all in one place in one table. So that is a best practice that we made sure is incorporated into this update. In addition to that, we have created some supplemental regulations that guide specific use types within the village. That's been incorporated into the. And then we've also updated the dimensional regulations for the specific districts. And I'm going to show you examples of what that looks like. This new code will be a hybrid code, which means it has Euclidean zoning elements that are use focused, but it also has form-based elements. And that's what I'm going to show you. So another way to say that is there's words and there's pictures. And the pictures really are meant to help to communicate the kind of development pattern that we would like to see in the village moving forward.
Before you leave that, that's a picture of Mike and myself. I lost that sweatshirt, if anybody knows where it is. Recent opportunity.
heard they had a rummage sale this weekend.
Thanks, Sam.
I haven't seen it, Dan.
I like the
It's too big for me.
I like the reference to Euclid too.
Yes.
So as I said, that it's a wholly new code, and there are new things in the code, new general regulations. We updated the parking section. We've updated how new non-conforming lots, structures and uses work within the village. We've updated the site plan review process. We've updated how special use permits work. We've incorporated planned development district provision. There are new process for how you obtain variances or appeal decisions, new application procedures, and also a process for amending, repealing, and moving to a new code in the future. So all of that's been done, which means you have right now, what's before you is a totally new code. Back in May of, this was updated in May, but at the beginning of this process, we developed a diagnostic. So we went through your entire code. We did that from the perspective of recommendations in the comprehensive plan and detailed all of the changes that needed to be made. That we reviewed with the steering committee. And we've been looking back to that throughout our process of working with the committee to make sure that we've checked all the boxes as we've gone.
And so that image, I believe each of you
Yeah.
has that in front of you.
Right.
And so we updated it to come to the that, so we're like, well, you know, created this document for you all and the committee members so that if anybody in the village, you neighbors or friends or family come up and say, what happened in the parking section? We provided that to, you know, to you is a sort of cliff notes, right? You still have to obviously look at the code. So it's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a complex machine. And so what we try to do is come up with a, I think it's certainly 3 pages, but to have you all at least have the cheat sheet in front of you, if you will. So that's the image of it, and I believe you all have.
And if you were to say, well, you know, could you show us a red line of our existing ordinance? The whole thing would be red. Because everything has moved, if there was anything that was in the existing code, it's moved to a different place. As I said, definitions have been updated, a lot of things have been changed, so there isn't a part of the ordinance that hasn't been touched in one way or another. It's a totally new document. I think that's an important thing to understand. To Lisa's point, it's that I can't point you to any one thing because the whole thing has been changed. So as I said, after public meeting number 2, we did receive some community feedback. And we've made some changes to what's before you now. So we did reformat the use table based on some of the feedback we received. One of the main things was moving the supplemental regulations to the left-hand side of the page. So it's right next to the different districts, so you can see.
Casey's recommendation too.
We have made some minor tweaks to the zoning map from things that people noticed. We have added in a reference to the tree commission and the site plan review process, which is another comment that we received. We've incorporated a definition of the design guidelines because those are design guidelines are separate from your ordinance. And they will be guidelines that the planning board can use for guiding the site plan review process. And so it was important that we identify what those are and what that means. We were encouraged to add, it's in quotes here, sort of some more green thinking ideas, which are things about recommendations around solar, incorporating solar into properties, things about green infrastructure and stormwater management within the building. So we did sort of go through the the zoning, proposed zoning update and the design guidelines to incorporate some of that feedback. And then we've also made some tweaks to the recommended tree list, which we've received some additional feedback from internal to EDR based on our experience and what works and what doesn't, in especially for street trees. So we made some additional tweaks to that. So let's see. Yeah, I just can't see what's on the top. So this is the proposed zoning map. And we also did create, and I'm sure some of you, so let's share. Hold on a moment. No, it's just oh, did it come up?
Not on the screen.
So we did create this tool to help to facilitate an understanding of the difference between the existing code and the proposed code.
Map.
Existing map, thank you, Jane. The existing map and the proposed map.
Which is super cool.
What's that?
It's super cool.
Oh, thank you. We think so. So you can zoom in and out of this map. We can make sure that all the board members, well, once you have this presentation digitally, you'll be able to click on this and get to the map. And you can literally look and see, oh, this is what exists today. And if I bring this across, then you can see what's there in the future. And if you can zoom in and see on any particular property what were the changes or what are the proposed changes. It's a very helpful tool. You need to know, well, in the legend for each, it does say what district they're in. So if you have the code with you, you can look at even what the sort of regulatory changes are to go along with that.
You can share because it still has some.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is showing you that this is the new use table, or sort of reformatted to fit on the slide. But as you can see, each of the districts, each of the uses are called out on the left-hand side. If that use requires us or has supplemental regulations, that's identified. And then for each district, it tells you whether that thing is permitted, which is a P, requires site plan review, which is an S, or requires a special use permit, or it's not allowed at all if there's nothing in the box. The box is empty, it's not allowed use. So this is really easy way of looking. You can see the whole code and everything that's allowed and not allowed, where it's allowed, where it's not allowed, where it's required to have site plan review or a special use permit. It's all in one place.
And I'll just add, because this is being recorded, so this use table and the map are on easels throughout the village. They're here at Village Hall, at the senior center, and the library. Am I missing anywhere else?
No.
So this has been abbreviated on the screen, as Sam said, so it could fit. But when we have on the easels, you'll see the full name of the zoning district, and then there's the map. So if anybody wants to go see a larger version of that, you'll be able to go to here, the senior center. Or
We got one right out there right now.
Right. In addition to what's linked on the website.
Yeah.
And
It's all available
Yeah.
on the website too.
Oh, yes, exactly. And so the committee worked very hard at this table and the map. That's usually what takes the longest. This whole process. And then we kind of build the zoning around it. That's sort of the behind the curtains, how we put these things together. So it is a nice user-friendly way for folks.
And since we're on the use table, a little bit of information about the zoning committee. we all met multiple times. I don't even know, I didn't count,
Last year,
but
without us.
multiple
Right.
times. And the committee met on their own to go through every single district and every single use. So it doesn't mean we all, hit the exact bullseye for everything, but it was really well, people gave it a lot of thinking. A lot of thinking, a lot of discussion. We had some really interesting discussions. We had a couple meetings of, well, these guys weren't very happy because they were like, guys, out of our time. We're like, no, we're just beginning our call. So we had a lot of work on the map and on the use table to get our consultants set and prepared to move forward then and do their hard work with some of the language, as he called it, the Euclidean stuff. And of course, then what he's going to show you with the dimensional regulations.
Okay, then we, as I said earlier, we focused on the sort of bulk regulations, the lot coverages, setbacks, heights, for each of the new districts within the code. And we affectionately refer to these as two-pagers. So for each district has 2 pages dedicated to it in the code. And in the 2-pagers, there are some images that are examples of the type of use that would occur in the district. There are dimensions for parcels or properties in the district. All the setbacks are spelled out, and heights are spelled out here. And then separately, there's a picture that shows you what we mean by all those things. So for example, if I want to know what my front yard setback is here, it's 5A. So 5A, and I know it might be a little hard for you to see from where you're at. And my mouse doesn't want it. So this is 5A, right? So it's just showing you where your front yard is.
How to measure it.
How to measure it.
Yep.
And that's part of the benefit of this sort of the form-based approach is you can really, we say, pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? That's what this is helping to do. So as I said, we have one of these for each of the districts that are called out. So the residential, neighborhood residential, village residential, and then village center. And this is where we get, this is where we are in the village actually right now, where Village Hall is. This is the village center district. And in here, again, we have some pictures of the type of development pattern we're talking about, which is in this case, a village center type development pattern where buildings are up to the street or closer to the sidewalk. There may be opportunities for outdoor seating and things like that. Parking should be behind buildings in order to maintain that sort of village character. So that's shown here in words and in pictures, right? And giving you the numbers that tell you what those setbacks can and should be, but also showing you what that might look like. So for example, this is a 3D model of what a building might look like in this district. And then we're looking down at the top of that building in this image. And this is showing you, this is the street. And this is the parking that's behind the building that faces the street. Again, that is a traditional village character, right? Where the buildings are up at the street level and parking is behind. We have the same for the Limestone business district. Again, it's the same sort of illustration, same approach. It's just repeated in different contexts. And then we have something similar for the upper business district. The upper business district would allow for larger commercial structures, like the car dealership, the Honda dealership that's here in the town. But the idea is any building would be, again, close to the street because setting up that sort of village feeling and village character. So again, there's 2 pagers for every district, and on all of the bulk requirements and dimensions, as well as the sort of pictorial representation of what we're looking for has been incorporated. So just in review, we have consolidated some of the existing districts that in the existing zoning map and in the ordinance into new districts. We've simplified the articles that were included in the ordinance when we've created a user-friendly use table, which we just shown to you. And then we've clearly illustrated the form and appearance that we want to see in each district. And those are accompanied by the design guidelines that we've provided as well. And those design guidelines are just that. They are meant to help to guide developer and the planning board as they're reviewing projects through site plan. If through the site plan review process is very difficult, every project is a little bit different. And you want to have some flexibility as you're reviewing projects to account for subtle differences in each site, right? So the guidelines give that ability. They say this is what we're looking for, but they do give some flexibility for reviewing it in each particular site context. And you do have guidelines now. These are significantly updated and I would say improved from what the village has been.
They also incorporate some of your other standards in one location, like, that's the village light standard in that picture, right? So, now we reference that in the guidelines, so you don't have to go to Karen and be like, what do I do? Right, so she could just hand out this book, right, and people can look at it, so it's a nice consolidation to your trees, the tree list from your tree commission, and then what ones work best on Main Street. So, it's a nice consolidated booklet that looks at site and sequential guidelines, yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Waiting for.
I like that
So-
surprise.
Yeah. So, happy to answer any questions that you might have. And that doesn't just go for tonight. I think as the board, is reviewing this, if you do have questions, you could please direct them to us and we're happy to walk you through any element that you need maybe some explanation on or understanding of how we got there. We're happy to provide that.
Are you officially done with us then? Oh, we, I
No, no. Yeah.
No,
don't want that hourly meeting
no,
again.
no, we're not officially done. So our scope does include working with the village through the adoption process. So that's what we're here as a resource as you continue to deliberate and go through this.
If I can add to that, this is the official first step, beginning of the seeker review process. And it is the beginning because we are officially receiving a document from which is like the catalyst to start the seeker review process. So, we will be talking a lot about that. I'm not going to throw it all out there right now, but we'll talk to me a lot about how to go through the process, what we need to do to go through the process. And EDR, the consultant, will be with us. And there'll be some assessments we need to do, some analysis we need to do. So there'll be a lot of back and forth. So it really needs to be looked at as the beginning.
I'm just gonna ask questions this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
The design guidelines were really interesting. Well, first of all, thank you all so much. It's phenomenal. It's definitely hard. It's a lot to understand. And I'm only at the early stages of, that kind of complexity. The use table alone, I could just keep looking at that for a long time. Well, why did they do that? Well, why didn't they do that? But I'll get there. But one of the things about the design guidelines that, I heard you say every project's different. But the design guidelines start off with the shalls and the shoulds. So the shalls are, you need to do this, right? Okay, so the planning board is gonna expect you to do that. And the shoulds are the dreams. They're the fun stuff, the green infrastructure stuff, the things that seem more like a change. And there's just a lot of shoulds. I don't know what the balance is, but when I went through it, I'm like, oh. Can any more of these help guide the planning board? Because having watched the planning board just a bit, you kind of know that from the conversations, that that's some directions that they would hope for maybe. But if they don't have something that gives them any teeth to make a decision on, in terms of a shall, then how do we get there to the new exciting ideas?
That's, you can certainly go through that and you can say, I think this should be a shall, right? And we can talk about it. And then you can do that, absolutely. Some of the difficulty with the design guidelines is what Sam said, every place is different. And then sometimes like green infrastructure, big proponent of it, good way to treat stormwater. I just got back from Europe where there are green roofs everywhere, right? To deal with stormwater. But sometimes the green infrastructure that it doesn't work because it's a clay soil or there might be some engineering condition that's beyond my pay grade. I'm not an engineer, but so that's why you need to build in the flexibility. But I'd also say too, we did have Scott on our committee too, Dumas, and zoning. There are multiple pieces of zoning that guide the board, the code enforcement officer, the planning board, the zoning board. And so even with the design guidelines, that's a great tool, but we also rewrote the site plan review and the special use permit section, we cleaned up the definitions. We've done, the use table, all these things, right? So that in zoning, you have to be careful to know that all of these pieces are supposed to inform the planning board too. And it's just, it is complicated and it's complex and there's a lot of moving parts to it. And so you don't have to necessarily know how all those moving parts work together, but know there are multiple inputs to those decisions that the planning board has. And we were giving them the tool because that was something that the committee said from the very beginning, that the planning board needed better tools. And so that's really what our main focus is.
Yeah.
Kind of how I see it is you want to there's nothing that fits every single situation the same, and you want to make it as structured as possible, but also have the ability for a project to move forward or a development or a redevelopment or in any area to move forward without being too restrictive that by certain rules or regulations or shells
Right.
than not, but obviously the design guidelines would help encourage people to think about those things that they might not be thinking about
And
in
I would
general too.
encourage, when you read them, if you feel like this should be a shall, absolutely mark it up, so.
I would also,
Yeah.
I would also say that should is still a very strong word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it should flips the burden to the applicant to say why. Or yes, that's happening, why not? This is what you should do, so you better have a reason
For
for
not.
not following what we think you should do. And sometimes there are very good reasons.
Strategic developers would be paying attention to the shoulds. And maybe not all of them,
Should.
the ones that,
But-
are taking that, what you've done with the integration of all the parts of the code.
Right,
I can see where that's partially why it's complex.
right.
But I can also see that if I wanted to go before the planning board, I'd want to be attending to the shoulds as much as possible to make it attractive. So Yeah, there is that little incentive of this may look better to the planning board if we pay attention to these things. And we're gonna look better too, because these are the waves of the future.
And to Sam's point, we've seen these design guidelines in many communities. When you have them, even though it's a should versus a shall, because you have them, you will get better projects. A lot of communities don't even think of
That makes sense.
it, so just having that gives the village, the planning board, better control of the projects.
Jane, go ahead.
In all that you're saying, having spent some years on the planning board, one thing that's very important to every single applicant that came through the door is timing. The sooner they can get started, the happier they are. You bring me all your shoulds, you follow the guideline, or you have a really good reason why you can't. Because your property, your site has a different, whatever to it. Planning board is more inclined to give you the approval you're looking for sooner. There are applicants, the reason we need to strongly advocate for design guidelines and these so-called 2-pagers. There are still applicants who are simply going to bring whatever they want to do. And they're going to test the mettle of the community as to what is going to be really asked of them. And giving the planning board and the ZBA the tools to follow our comprehensive, the guidelines from the comprehensive plan is really what is the full intent here, so that they can do their job efficiently and effectively. And I think this document does that.
We've done design guidelines and zoning for quite some time, and, Sam was a practitioner in the town we live as well. And, I've had developers say, I'd rather know what you want from the very beginning. I don't want to guess. I don't want to come and be like, oh, what is case? So they want to know. And so, this is, I call good zoning like good economic development. It's good implementation of your comprehensive plan. It's good for the vision that you've established as a community. You all are very passionate about this village. And so that the intention of the design guidelines and the zoning together are really meant to overlay to implement what, your community has said. Members of your public have said are so special about the village of Fayetteville.
Yeah, and to that point, there's a lot in here, right? And for any developer or the planning board, you have to take into account the whole thing. You can't just cherry pick one aspect of it, right? Because it's the whole code that's going to govern what you do on any particular site, including those guidelines. So I do think that's really important to know, because people will, you might, Casey, look at one thing and say, well, and then we could pull you to other parts of the code and say, well, that's dealt with here, here, and here, right? That's why you really have to be able to view the whole thing together, sort of like a living, breathing.
But that's what we're gonna have. That's what we're gonna do all summer
Yeah.
Right.
at Mark's Lake House.
Thank
you, Jane. I keep on telling you, you're gonna ruin my summer vacation.
So the design guidelines would be like a booklet, and you said Karen will hand that out.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah,
we
so the
will-
application.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Actually, I'm gonna recommend that you probably have done this already, but one of the really strong changes to the site, to the planning board and site plan review process is what they do up front now.
Yeah.
The applicant's being given a lot of responsibility in the very beginning. Read the design guidelines, understand what the tree commission planning manual says, so that they come in, they do their own homework.
Comprehensive plan.
And a comprehensive plan, and and Karen is not here to do their homework either,
Right.
right? All of this will be on our website, right? So they can get to it, they can see what they're supposed to do step by step, they can access it. And we are not their little minions to put everything together. That's important.
And even in the design guidelines, when they get that book, that there's a checklist that we've incorporated for both the planning board and the applicant. So at the back end of it is a checklist of all the requirements, so you can see if they, you can go right down that, and they can too, because they have fun.
So when we adopt it, how does that change our lived reality? As property owners, business property owners?
Everything that is currently built, and we have some lawyers here in town in-house, so if I misspeak, please speak up. But everything that is currently built stays built, and it doesn't have to change. If a simple example is if a business closes doors and goes out of business, and that structure isn't for over a year, and that structure is way out of code, too tall, too wide, too something, then when that structure wants to be put back into use, it's gonna have to conform to the new code. That is most likely going to happen, maybe once. I mean, it just isn't something that we've experienced. I never experienced it in the 20 years I was on the planning board. We have businesses that do close and move on, but new businesses come in, and so structures are used and reused. We're fortunate that way. I don't know if I'm answering your question directly.
It's great, but so let's say on the use table, it's an existing business, but then it's not.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate for them to have a.
Right, as long as
permitted.
the same type of business, I believe, opens within the year's time, then they can,
And do it,
it's like grandfathered in.
right?
So
Okay.
once the year goes by without, so if it's a grocery store, and now it's not allowed to be a grocery store as an example. If the one store moves out and another store moves in within that year's time, nothing, it stays the same. If it goes a whole year without the same use in there and it doesn't conform to the new codes, then they can't use it for that.
That's just slightly
Right?
nuanced, Mayor.
Or no.
Close.
Okay, well,
So nothing's really gonna change in the daily life. What is going to be more clear is that when you may have to come in for site plan review and special use permit, that's what that use table does. It's more clear, so we're talking about two different things, let's just say the use table, let's just say you're a tavern. And then you wanna be a funeral home. And there are different rows on that use table. And let's say the tavern is, you're just saying, now you wanna be the funeral home, and in that line, it says you need site plan review. You will have to come in for site plan review because you switched rows, right? So so the community gets another look. As long as it's an allowed use. If it's not an allowed use, you can't come in. If it's not an allowed use, and let's say it's a tavern, the tavern's now closed for a year, more than a year. And now funeral wants to come in, if it's not allowed, it can't come in. If it is allowed, you still have to come for site plan review. So this grandfathering preserves the uses that are allowed. But also just on the front end, just simply sort of switching types of businesses. You'll have to come in for a site plan review or a special use permit, or so there's different, and then that's where you run into what Jane is saying, like the front end of the site plan review section now says. The design guidelines, look at our comprehensive plan, do these things before you.
And did you want to say something? Oh, okay.
Also, adoption means the new map, the new regulations, and the design guidelines. So what changes? You have a new zoning, you would have a new zoning map. The old zoning map is a part of history in that case, right? The new regulations, old things, what exists today goes away. So once it's adopted, you go on to E-code to access the village's code now. All of the zoning section would be replaced with this new language, right? So what is currently your code will be no more. What is currently your design guidelines will be no. So everything that we've created will take the place of what's there today.
But our daily life, Caraz is still gonna stay open.
Yeah,
Caraz will
no,
keep all
right.
of its signs. I mean, just picking like our new restaurant here. Its sign may currently be in code, and if we adopt this, the sign is out of code. It doesn't have to change. It's in operation. It's working.
But if
I've
they
had more
want to
people-
sign, if they want to change their sign, then they.
Then they would
Yeah,
have to-
if they want to change their sign, then they come in and they start operating under the new code. I've had more people ask me about the sign impact. Seriously, like, am I gonna have to go change my sign? I'm like, no, nobody has to go do anything. There will be opportunities for I just call it growth. I don't know what else to call it. There will be opportunity, if somebody does want to come in and we have an empty lot down in Limestone Plaza. Under our current code, a certain structure could be built there according to our current code. Under the new code, that structure may look differently, right? So maybe if you wanted to see and understand the dimensional regulations and the change for Limestone Plaza, that's a good piece of parcel to check it out. It's like, all right, if someone was gonna build something there today, how tall could the building be? Where does the parking have to be? I'll be honest with you, you may not be able to figure that out under our current code, because it's pretty
Mhm.
beat up. It's ask the man who has to look at it all the time. It's all over the place. You would be able to figure that out in a heartbeat under the proposed.
And you could figure it out under your new code. I agree wholeheartedly. It's very confusing. That's what-
Under the
Existing code, sorry, existing code. Many of your, we looked at this current height and dimensional on the side and front, your own setbacks. Yeah, we kept many of them. You were pretty good, but some of them were way bigger than they needed to be to allow front yard parking, for example. That's more of a suburban, type of look and feel, right? As soon as you get outside the village's boundaries. So now with this the 2 pagers that Sam was showing you, you can envision it much easier what can be built there. And the intention of those 2 pagers and the dimensional requirements and the design guidelines that we've thought through as a team is to keep have new development be in keeping of the character of the village of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And your current code doesn't.
Nope, it's at all. There's
And that's where the planning board sometimes has been a very tough position.
very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough.
They're gonna have many more tools now than they have had. The other thing that I think is important, once it's adopted, it'll just be, we went through the history of your existing code, adopted in 1985 when Sam was 11, and has been updated over time since then, right? The same thing will happen with this code, right? There are things that will change, and there's a process that's built into the code for changing and making amendments to it, right? Nothing is static. We've done our best to create a code that we think upholds the values and principles that are in the comp plan, and that also will reinforce the character of the village of Fayetteville. That's what we set out to do. But things may change as you move forward, right?
Yeah. And then and take me correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the purviews of a planning board in every community in New York State is to monitor the code and make recommended changes you're the legislative body. That's why you find the final stop is with the legislative board being the village board here. So, most planning boards will keep a list, right? And then at the end of the year, they might, just like your DPW director was sitting here, make a report to this board. Okay, there will be things you're going to want to tweak where you're doing our absolute best, but we can't nail every condition that's out there. And so they might say, well, we're seeing this and we think if we change or add or delete this thing, they should make a report, an annual report to this board, I would recommend. So that you're not waiting another 30 years henceforth to make changes to your code. It helps you keep up with it.
Yeah.
Within a couple of years, it's likely that you'll have some desired tweaks or changes, just because once you start using it, things will come to light that we couldn't have imagined necessary. So we've done our best to imagine some things will show up.
Because technology changes too.
Mhm.
And that was
Everything changes.
Material.
the lighting
print,
section was like,
siding.
oh, this is so much stronger than you didn't have
Yes.
anything like that.
Yes, also, uses change. You never had.
Yep.
There's some uses here that we never considered, so we're gonna have to.
Well, you have the sign, your sign language, we've had, in the last 10 years, 2 major Supreme Court decisions that really affected every single community in the United States sign ordinance. So we had to make sure we were up to date. So
Things have become legal as.
Yeah.
We're legal.
material changes in your design guidelines, we recommend materials and things of this nature, and new technologies might come out with I don't know, a fabricated brick that looks just like regular brick, but it's prefab, I don't know. It's
Right.
things that nature.
Thanks, Ken. All right, well, very good. Thank you very much for your information
Thank you.
and for your hard work with our committee and all that you put into this. We'll be looking forward to reviewing it and going forward with your help.
Jane, that's right, remind us if you have any questions.
Yes, yeah. Um,
And then do you want to do this, now?
yeah, so I'm gonna pass this down. I have copies here of the resolution. Okay. Here, you can all have a copy.
I took a look at it and I would just recommend to the board that in the second whereas it refers to the board looking at proposed changes to the zoning code of the map, which should probably also include a reference to the design guidelines.
Okay,
Okay.
zoning code, design guidelines and map.
Yeah.
What is this resolution you're talking about? I have no idea what you're talking
This is the resolution designating the Village of Fayetteville Board as the lead agency under seeker.
I'll read it. I'm gonna read it out loud. You
Whoa.
get a copy.
Which paragraph? The second whereas.
Okay, thank you.
Talks about the code of the map.
Just, we're the lead
Design
agency,
guidelines.
see,
It's just indicating that our intent is to be lead agency, so that is all. That is the sole purpose of this board resolution.
It's
And
the intent, no.
yes, that we're not declaring ourselves lead agency, we're just indicating that is will be our intent. To be lead agency under the seeker review process. So, bear with me, here we go. I'm gonna read it out loud. Resolution designating lead agency under seeker. Whereas the Village of Fayetteville is a municipal corporation located in Onondaga County and governed by the Village Board of Trustees. And whereas the board is reviewing a proposal for modifications to its existing zoning code, design guidelines, and map. And whereas the action is subject to review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, codified at Article 8 of the New York Environmental Conservation Law and its implementing regulations at 6 NYCRR Part 617, known as seeker. And whereas, based on the size of the property included and the scope of the proposed modifications, this project would be classified as a type 1 action under seeker. And whereas, in accordance with 6 NYCRR Section 617.6, a seeker review of a type 1 action requires the establishment of a lead agency among the involved and or interested agencies. And whereas 6 NYCRR 617.2 defines lead agency as an involved agency principally responsible for undertaking, funding, or approving an action, and therefore responsible for determining whether an environmental impact statement is required in connection with the action, and for the preparation and filing of the statement if one is required. And whereas the regulations at 6 NYCRR 617.6 subsection B, subsection 5, subsection V establish criteria for designating a lead agency, including whether the anticipated impacts of the action are primarily of statewide, regional, or local significance. B, which agency has the broadest governmental powers for investigation of the impacts of the proposed action, and C, which agency has the greatest capability for providing the most thorough environmental assessment of the proposed action. And whereas the Village Board of Trustees is the agency best suited to serve as lead agency for this action, because the board is responsible for enacting the amendments of the zoning code and design guidelines and map. And whereas it is the intent of the board to declare its intent to act as seeker lead agency for the purposes of assessing potential environmental impacts associated with the proposed modifications to the zoning code, design guidelines, and zoning map, including the preparation of a full environmental assessment form and subsequent notice of determination. Now therefore be it resolved that the board shall act as lead agency for the environmental review of the action under seeker and 6 NYCRR Part 617. Prepare seeker lead agency coordination package, including the following components. A full EAF Part 1 project information, list of permits and approvals, Part 1 project information, list of involved and interested agencies, Part 1 project information, coordination request letter asking for the following information from involved and or interested agencies, objections, if any, to the village board of trustees acting as seeker lead agency, and identification of issues that should be addressed in the seeker process. And then point 3, distribute the lead agency coordination package to involved and or interested agencies to initiate a maximum 30-day lead agency coordination period. And 4, take all necessary steps to complete the environmental review of the action in accordance with seeker, including but not limited to making a determination of significance, preparing, accepting, or requiring the preparation of an environmental assessment form or environmental impact statement as applicable, conducting scoping if an environmental impact statement is required, coordinating review with all involved and interested agencies, providing opportunities for public comment as appropriate, and issuing a determination of significance and, if applicable, finding statement.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh,
Could you just explain number 3 to me?
Everyone?
The maximum 30,
Three.
number 3, the maximum 30-day lead agency coordination period. Who does that apply to?
So,
The other involved or interested agencies have an opportunity to object to this board wanting to be the lead agent. And they're given 30 days to consider that and contact the village if one way or the other.
but my understanding is somebody has to be lead agency.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
And if there's a fight over who wants to be it, ultimately it goes to the DEC for them to determine who's the
Right.
most appropriate to be the agency.
It's unlikely anyone's going to wrestle us for
No.
this. Yeah.
the only other agency that could even consider, that I think there are 2 that could consider it, are the county, because they have funded part of this entire effort, and the Department of State, same thing. They are a grant provider for this effort. Pretty sure neither one is going to want to arm wrestle lead agency position. So, but we do need, under the law, we need to give them all an opportunity to say something. And that's what the maximum 30 days is for.
anything else? No, not right now. Thank you. So we'll call for a vote.
May I have one?
No, I said no, I'm sorry. You can ask after the meeting what you would like and we will provide you information at that time. Thank you.
Pertaining to the content of the resolution, which was read aloud, which I have not seen, and I just have a quick question about it.
You can get a copy after the meeting.
But then it's too late to answer the information before you act and vote.
This is not a public time for you to interact with the board. I'm sorry. You will get a copy after the meeting. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Next, thank you. All you.
Thank you all, EDR.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a.
I sure will see one another.
Yep. We look forward to continuing to help and let us know if you need.
Yeah,
questions.
don't
Thank you.
take us off your GPS.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have our annual agreements. So during budget time, we enter annually into agreements with 4 entities: the Fayetteville Senior Center, the Rec Department, the Matilda Jocelyn Gage Foundation and the Manawis Historical Society. So we'll be able to do these one at a time. We'll begin with the Fayetteville Senior Center. This agreement has been the same as other years, and it is in the amount of $55,000, which was discussed done at budget time.
I move.
45.
To accept this agreement. or to-
What do we?
No, this is the senior center.
Senior Center, don't move. We didn't have a capital.
I'll second the senior center.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, shouldn't we be changing the name?
You do have a point.
Thank you. Yes, I will change them.
Okay. With a name change, I'm the doc-
Fayetteville Center
before-
for Active Adults.
before we sign it.
Agree.
Yes.
Okay,
So our
so we will make those adjustments. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
good point.
What do you want next? Manly's Historic?
no, I'm doing that because I'm gonna recuse myself. Fayetteville Youth and Recreation Program in the amount of $38,700.
So move.
Second.
Seconded. Any other discussion or question?
Yes, I just would like, I request. I should have done this before. It didn't really strike me. If I could look at the agreement. That's mentioned here, agreement to operate the Fayetteville Youth Program. There's two of these have that kind of piece, but I never looked at the agreement.
I don't know if I have something specific.
It just says they've entered into an agreement to operate the Fayetteville Youth and Recreation Program. So that means the
think
agreement
this
is
is
the idea that they are entering into this
This is the
agreement.
agreement we're entering and working together.
There is no other
I
agreement.
don't think it's a separate document.
It says pursuant to paragraph 7, so there isn't a paragraph 7.
I honestly did not read it in detail. It's something that's been in play for some
know.
time. I don't know if it.
I have to look
had been
because
added.
maybe there's something in the, on their side that they have an agreement that says
No,
paragraph
that's a good
7.
point. I don't know if there's a bylaw or something that had been
That's what I
accepted.
mean.
in
It
the
might be
past.
something that the rec has in their bylaws or information that refers to paragraph 7 that is indicative that they are providing the service to the village. So I've never seen it on the village.
I haven't seen anything more accompany this, so I wasn't familiar with it.
I think the same thing is,
So
yeah,
moved.
this is, wait, we're talking about the senior center now?
No, we already approved this.
Okay.
Other one.
All right,
So this was for the recreation committee. I'll make a note of that
How many?
to find more information. And there was a similar reference in another agreement,
in the senior center.
saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still,
Paragraph
they're
7.
staying paragraph 7 too.
So you flip the page.
Oh, they're talking about the original, okay. 1980 agreement. Okay. I'll have to take those up.
Oh,
Okay,
Here. I- Thank you for showing me that. I'll have to go back ways.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's on the recreation one.
The recreation.
Okay.
Next is an agreement between the Village of Fayetteville and the Matilda Jocelyn Gage Foundation. In the amount of $2,000. That we have talked about it budget time, so.
so moved.
Second. Okay, any other discussion? On favor?
Aye.
And the last one, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Deputy Mayor, Mark Matt, because I am a member of the board of the Manly's Historical Society.
The last one is agreement between the Village of Fayetteville and the Manlius Historical Society, and that is for $4,500. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're running this, I'm sorry.
Be quiet, Mike.
Any
discussion? All in favor?
Wait. The society shall also continue not collect and preserve artifacts, so that should be a 2, I think.
Which paragraph?
Paragraph under now therefore, paragraph 3, first sentence.
Continue not collect and preserve our religion.
Good, that should be true.
Should be continue collect.
Yep. And I just don't know what our certified historic structures are. That's like, better ask what that is too.
So. I'm not sure if we have any certified structures.
We have some on the National Register, but.
So
that
I
doesn't-
would say I read it or took it that they were the ones that would be national on the National Register. Not just
There's property under the National Register in the Village of Fayetteville.
Yeah, there is.
there is, but I don't know that we
You've got
own
what
any
we
property.
reference.
We don't own any property under
The
the
village doesn't.
the village
but there's
doesn't own it, but there is
that is
property that's under
That
the.
has been,
I took it that it was properties that were. I don't know what the right
Deemed
word is,
historic.
deemed, well, approved, certified by the National Historic Register or whatever.
So
I'm not saying
maybe
it,
it would be
I'm
good
not
to,
saying it.
for us all to know, they know, we know, the same, less kind of thing. I'm not gonna vote against it, but.
No,
just-
no, that's a good
And,
question.
and it says that, they're gonna support the village in the maintenance of those structures and edifices, so that's why it also struck me that this is something we should kind of know about.
So, and again, the way I'm reading the support of the maintenance is to support information or guidance for maintenance, not financially supporting the maintenance. Just like the village wanted, if they're not our village properties, they're whatever to support that maintenance. But
And
this-
they're maintaining documents as well.
But we can clarify that. And we can always suggest that.
And it mentions the village historian in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
which, that was a change, so I was just wondering what your thinking was about.
I took the agreement that we have with the town of Manlius, and that's where some of this came from, and that's incorporated in the town agreement is to support the efforts of the town historian, which in the past was the same as the village historian.
Okay,
So that's why I incorporated it so that we are gonna have a village historian. I have some interviews coming up or whatever for that position.
Mhm.
But, so I thought it was good to add that they would support and provide
Yes.
information for the villages. So it was kind of, I adopted it from the town resolution that we do with the town regarding funding. And I don't know who wrote the one with the town. I mean, it's been a lot of years and it's, and
So
it
that-
probably doesn't change much, but I did take like a few things from the town and incorporated here.
so that kind of explains number 7, because, if the society shall provide exhibits must be displayed in secure cases. You have the secure case, we don't have a secure case that I'm.
We don't
familiar
have
with.
it currently. I did talk to Karen about perhaps adding something somewhere here, but we could do that. The library has some secure cases, so if they were ever interested in having, I mean, they have a lot of their own types of information that's local
Yes,
history.
yes.
So I'm not sure they would want additional information.
Right.
But if there were places, like a bank or someplace that's a public use place that has a secure, so
We can
they
work
would,
this out.
they would put a display in this building, say, but we don't have a place that's like lockable for them to display.
Right.
They have in Manlius, in the village buildings, in Manlius, they do with the town building down here. If we had a way to display stuff that it
Okay.
was secure, then they would provide more places here.
Any more questions?
Last one, I'll just ask afterwards, so I just go.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Next, we have a CFA resolution climate community grant. And I'm
CFA,
gonna turn it over to Mark, who's gonna talk about it. Or explain it.
I don't have one right here on my table.
I have it somewhere in my pot.
I know. My printer went kapooey on there.
I don't know if I have one. either. So good.
What this is asking for a resolution actually for us to apply for a grant through the consolidated funding agreement. Because we're a climate smart community and doing that, and we're basically applying for a grant in order to understand the feasibility of us doing a geothermal HVAC facility for our fire department and also our village hall together.
so the grant is for the study?
No. For both of them to actually go forward. We're looking at doing a study, but we have to have these final numbers before we know whether or not to go forward. if we get approved on the grant, I can't see us not moving forward if we don't receive the grant, because the grant's for almost $2 million. But if we do get approval for the grant, then we would have to really consider very tightly what's going on, our costs, et cetera, to understand how we're gonna finance it, et cetera.
So it's.
So there's a whole bunch of other questions once we understand whether or not we can actually move forward on this. So that's why I'm asking for that. And so that's my proposal in order to apply for this grant.
Okay, so,
So I need the approval for the village board to do so.
right, to make the application,
That's correct.
right? If my understanding is that the application is seeking funding for a study to understand the very specific details that will help shape application or implementation of this so that we know where to and how to.
What it does is basically we'll put together, we're offered the grant, we can accept the grant because there's also your investment tax credits, et cetera, that we can do in the same process. And that will identify what the numbers are specifically. And that's why we're doing it this way.
Okay.
Because until I get there, I can't tell you this is gonna happen, because I don't know if they're gonna fund it, they're gonna partially fund it, or
Right.
what they're gonna do. So that's where I have to know. Because I can't ask you to approve this project until we understand.
Right, but my only thought is if we accept the grant, like if we get it, like I know we're obviously hoping to get it,
Right.
not just hoping, we're aiming to get
We're
it.
working very hard
Yeah,
for that,
right.
yes.
So if we get the grant and after the study, we find that we need a couple extra shillings. You know, I mean, because we may,
We
right?
may.
So.
And then it becomes a trying to figure out where
Is
those extra
this-
shillings come from.
Well, is this funding source one that would be willing to continue supporting a project of this magnitude?
This, we're actually asking for the grant from DEC, New York State.
So yeah, it is.
Yeah, you got it.
All right,
So
That makes me
that's where
feel
we're
more
going from,
comfortable.
directly out of DEC.
Yeah.
That's why, as a climate smart community, that's where we're putting this forward. And then the other part, the ITCs, the investment tax credits are, that's part of a federal fund that still exists for these type of applications.
yeah, that I know nothing about.
That's still in existence. It's still.
And the third
Okay.
source is something through National Grid, but they can't tell us what that is.
Yes.
So, but there's, so there's a few different things that are all in play, like
Still, I
Mark
get
just
it.
said, that it's not
Get
really
it. So I make the motion to approve your.
a resolution, the FA
Resolution, yeah.
application resolution. Okay, moved by Jane.
Oh, second.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion on it? It's something we
I'm a
need.
little confused, but we'll talk.
We'll talk.
Yeah,
But there's a ways to go, very much so.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the grant application has to go in soon, maybe March.
Oh, I
said
didn't
this
know
when
about
I was
that.
out of the room.
The
So that
application actually has to go in by the end of July.
the
And we're doing this
result,
because we only have one more meeting. And I wanted to make sure we had this in place because we need to have it for we have various paperwork to form for the consolidated plan.
Central New York Planning and Development is doing.
is doing the application for us. Yeah,
Oh, that's really good news too.
Yes,
Excellent.
so Isabella's helping us with this.
Isabel, I've been working with Isabel quite some time now.
So the application has to go in July. We're under the understanding that the announcement when it come till after the first of the year, in
Right.
2027. And then if the project will go forward after that even, so we're talking a little ways away yet.
Okay.
We are setting up in order to look at doing some prep things ahead of time in order to deal with this, to make this an easier transition. But those we'll handle with you individually as we know what we're actually have in place.
That's great.
But
Sounds
that's
good.
kind of like the timing issue that we're in the understanding of, so you get a better understanding of.
And right now, I'm thinking,
Really appreciate the work of the committee to tackle this, you and the committee.
yeah,
This is great.
this has been a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think, I've been juggling with this for over a year and a half
Mhm.
and
I
trying to figure
answer
this
some
out.
of our questions about the heat and the cold, it's not free.
Why do you capitalize the? The village.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor?
I
I think you all said that, but maybe.
Thank you.
So, okay. Trustee updates. Read.
Oh, yes, I do, actually.
Okay,
Community workshop. Town of Manlius is having community workshop on the Burdick Genesee corridor study, and that is tomorrow night, Tuesday, the 23rd, from 5:30 to 7 at the Fayetteville Free Library. very interesting, recommendations on what improvements can be made on that whole corridor so that we can have more of a pedestrian friendly, multi-mobile type of experience through the whole area. So, yeah, come on in, come on down. There'll be a little presentation in the very beginning at 5:30, and after that, more of a community, situation where you have different stations and you can go to these stations and learn about different things that are the different aspects of the recommendations. And they're looking for community feedback. Number two, Center for Active Adults is having some troubling noise concerns with their HVAC systems. So I'll get together with Tyler at DPW and come up with a plan to try to find out what's going on. I mean, nobody can pinpoint what's going on. I mean, the people there who are making the sharing their concerns. Tyler's been there several times. Nothing obvious is concerned. So there was some interfacing between the system that went in for radon testing or radon mitigation. So we're just gonna have to we're gonna have to not just put time aside, figure it out. We gotta be really strategic, I think.
I did talk to them and I asked for, like, if it happened at like same time, not that it would happen at the same time, but like around the same time so that you could be there to kind of witness it and check it out more thoroughly, but it doesn't happen. It happens randomly, so it is.
No, and it's so random. I'm guessing, because I've not heard it, but my guess is that when it's random like that, it's more startling because you're not expecting it. If you've got an old radiator that kind of whistles and blows, all the time.
Oh, it sounds like a cruise ship leaving port.
Is there a way somebody could record it?
Maybe.
With their phone.
And the building doesn't move. They said if it was.
Yeah, they don't.
Got another problem.
So we are gonna try to understand what's going on there. And then the Parks Commission is working hard on putting together a roadmap on how they want to update, how they think the Parks Master Plan should be updated based on their experiences over the years, and then they will bring that to us to look at, so.
Anything for the ESF students?
No, they've been quiet. I was given an explanation why. And it had something to do with the change of some changes going on with ESF, it's minor internal change, and I don't remember what it was, but we're still hoping to get that information.
Thanks.
That's all I have to say.
Oh, cottage doors.
Still need them.
Okay. Are we having them custom built?
They have to be custom made. They have to be custom made by us or somebody else. They're custom door heights, widths, it's just not standard.
Angles, stuff.
Oh, that's not standard. So there right now it's closed off. It's secured enough, but it is not secure.
Right.
So we don't want to, the water for the community garden and others is turned on, so that's good. So yeah, we're just gonna, Tyler, their DPW just gets really busy until about July, and then I think he can focus more on it.
Okay, thanks.
Actually, two things. I wanted to thank everybody for attending the party in the plaza last Thursday on the 18th. And I want to particularly thank Karen, Gwen, and Patty for putting that all together and working with that for the party in the plaza. Tough weather to deal with, and it was very interesting. That's all I can say. It's been tough weather all along, so it's what goes on. The other thing is our climate change adaptation and mitigation plan. We're having a meeting on July 9th at the Center for Active Adults at 6 p.m. You attended the workshop and almost all of you trustees and mayor did, we would like you to come again because we're going to look at that and we're gonna work into it a little bit more. So we would like to make sure that you're there if possible. I promised them this morning that I would actually talk about this a little bit, because from my point of view, this is a very good kind of thing where everything comes into play in order to deal with many of our issues that we are looking for, that we have to be concerned about for the future. And that's what I find very interesting.
No, so laid out the problem and now we have to.
Yeah, now we have to
how the
figure out what our
parts fit
priority is,
together,
and how we're
yeah.
going to approach it a little bit.
So that it actually guides us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I think that's great.
we want everyone to be back if they can be. Really looking
RSVP,
forward to
yes.
it. And I want to say thank you for allowing us to apply for the CFA. Because that is actually what we're looking at here, because I'll go in a little more detail now, because the CFA, I'm looking at replacing an HVAC system that's 20 years old. It was done when we did the renewal of the village hall and the fire station. And if I can go with a geothermal system, I can save approximately 25% a year on equipment cost and maintenance, and also on energy costs of running it. And I'm in the position where I can put a system in that can last up to 50 years versus 20. It's a huge deal. And it's going to probably, what we do cost us some money, but based on where we are now, you're actually having failures going on in our HVAC system here, and we're going to have to figure out where we're going to spend the money and what process along the way. And so that is really what it's all about. And I want to thank you for allowing us to explore this more, because I pushed these numbers back and forth so many times, I don't know where I am at the moment on my memory. And I think most of you know how that is. So anyway, thank you.
Not me. Could you do me a favor and just mention the Gage flag event that happened at the county? You went to that, right?
Mike went to it. I was not able to go.
Oh,
I
okay,
was disappointed they didn't go to it.
because I couldn't go.
Do you want me
The
to
county
talk now or
courthouse,
later?
yeah, could you,
Yeah, so
please?
Jason was there also. I don't know if you did a story or I didn't happen to see it if you did. This coming week. Okay, so the Gage Foundation, there was a flag that was made by Matilda Jocelyn Gage and women from Fayetteville for a regiment in the Civil War. And she presented the flag to them here in the village. And they flew the flag and carried the flag with them until it got tattered, and then they retired the flag and someone else replaced it. And the flag is now preserved in the county courthouse. And they have a drawer, several drawers. I guess there's several flags in those drawers of different types. And Sarah was there at the event, and myself and a few people from the county, and they had the drawer opened up so you could actually see the original flag. I have some pictures, so I'll send them to Karen so she can put them on our website too or whatever. So you could see the flag. They have a replica of the flag that was displayed also, so you could see it in its entirety. And they had presentations, a speech given by Matilda at the presentation, I think, of the flag. And then they had different people speak about the Gage Foundation, but also things in general revolving around that whole concept of the flag and the significance of that to the community and to the village particularly. So,
Thanks. I couldn't report out on it, so I was.
Well, I apologize because I think it was a wonderful event and I just couldn't get there, so.
Guess what? I'm gonna update us on the tree commission. So we had a request from Elementary Restaurant that their trees, they really wanted to get some work done. And our pruners went there, spent a lot of time with them, had a great rapport with the restaurant owner. They started by asking him what are his goals, and he wanted to have more visibility. And I, from a distance, said, I don't think it's gonna take you very long. The trees look fine. So they look completely different now. And the restaurant owner is very happy. And it was a good exercise all around. They pruned 110 trees so far, which I'm impressed with. We have a draft of something to look at in terms of the zoning code, chapter 167 trees. But their meeting is always after our second meeting of the month. So I'm always like just about to have a meeting with them on Wednesday.
So you should give me their recommendations for that because we're the ones that do the code
They,
work or
we
whatever, so.
haven't even read it, so we don't know
Oh,
if we agree
okay.
with it. A couple of people did that and then we have to like,
So what we'd be looking for is not a rewritten code, but just recommendations that they have.
No,
about
I
the
think we're
code.
talking about two different sections, are we? Are you
Or
talking about
what?
the section that specifically addresses the tree commission?
yes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
not in
okay.
this code.
Oh, no, that's
It's a
separate.
different
It's its own code.
It's a whole different
Right,
chapter.
so I said, what I'm saying is, we would rewrite the code, not the tree commission, so if they have recommendations about that, that's what I'd like to see from the tree
Okay.
commission.
All right.
Not rewriting the code themselves, but to give us recommendations
That
as to
makes
what their
sense.
thoughts are.
We're the
Just the
ones-
tree commission, not the zoning part
No,
of
no,
the
it's a whole
tree
separate effort.
commission.
This is, Casey, we are the legislative board. So we are the only board that has power under New York State to enact any laws or regulations or change what's been enacted. So, if the tree commission wants that section that pertains to them and what they do to be, revised or amended to reflect more of what's going on today, I think we all welcome that.
Right, we, well,
recommendation.
we talked about that
We've talked
anyway,
about it
yeah, I
several
mean,
times.
I've talked to Casey about it, I don't know.
We talked about it here too.
Yeah.
Not the last meeting.
So that's what we'd be looking for is like some input or recommendations, and then we can kind of work on
Yeah.
that, and then it would be a joint effort till we get results
Right,
as to what we do,
because
yeah.
with my assumption, that they're like consultants and they help
Right.
us.
Yeah.
And we don't try to do it all on our own. So anyway.
Right, no, that's that's fine.
Okay,
I
great.
just want to make sure the process goes the right way, that's all, and that's what they want too.
Yeah. And, as I mentioned during, the DPW report, we're still awaiting the Bartlett tree estimate. That's taking a very long time for some of the most problematic trees identified during the inventory. And that's the number of trees. And then our agenda on July 22nd, if we could put, I had the SMTC presentation moved from this meeting to that one. So
Okay,
if we could put him up a little early in the agenda, that would be great.
well, it's July 20th.
Okay,
That's the Monday.
sorry.
No, that's fine, I mean, you,
Make sure
Yeah,
he shows up the right day.
the July meeting.
no, you're all
Yes.
good, I just want to make
Okay,
sed that we
that's
don't
great.
have him come on a day when we're not here.
That's
Or
great,
vice-
and-
Or version, really, seriously.
And that's it for me.
Okay. Ted, you have anything? Okay, so I just have the Manlius Historical Meetings got changed, so it was not last Thursday during the party in the plaza and the other events and when people were away that were on this board and things like that. So it is going to be this Thursday, the 25th, and it's going to be in this building upstairs in the courtroom.
What
At
is?
6:30, the Manlius Historical Annual Meeting.
Okay,
It was supposed to be last Thursday
Okay.
and they
Okay.
had to postpone it for a week, so it's this Thursday, so if anybody. And the speaker is going to be Barbara Brown, who's been a longtime board member, and it's the 50th anniversary of the Manlius Historical Society, so. That's what that change was from last time I talked about it, but I want to update you on that. The other thing, I think the only other thing that I have, because we talked about the flag, was our meeting schedule for July and August.
right.
So we did agree to one meeting in July, which is on 20th. And then we also talked previously about keeping the two meetings in August so that we would have some more time to work on our zoning and things. So I guess it's just to reaffirm that we're going to do that on August 10th and the 24th. Do we want to keep both meetings at 6 in the evening like we typically have? Do you want to move one to the daytime? Would that make it any more?
Well, let me
Easier.
provide some
What do you think
context
on
for everybody
the-
before we jump into the what, the how, and why. We passed that resolution tonight, was simply a notice, it's called notice of intent. And that's just to give everybody notice that we intend to declare ourselves lead agency. I'm anticipating that by our July 20th meeting, we will have heard from, or typically you don't hear from anybody. which
Right.
means that's,
That means
The
we can
message.
Go forward, right?
so that on July 20th, we can declare ourselves lead agency. When we declare ourselves lead agency, we need, EDR is going to be scheduled to complete part 1 of the form. You all have copies. But we are then going to be responsible for walking through part 2 of the form and answering some of those questions. As I've said before, EDR is going to be continuing to work with us and completing some baseline assessments and analysis, so we have some things to work with. I don't know that they will have enough of that work done before the beginning of August, the August 10th meeting.
Okay.
But we may have some or all of it done by the later in the August meeting.
Mhm.
And definitely we'll have everything, so we're all having communication and knowing which direction we want to go in and all that stuff by September. So I don't know if this is providing enough information to everybody as to why we would have one meeting versus, meeting versus 2 in August.
So our options are, we can decide what we want to do in August tonight. We can wait till our July 20th meeting and make a decision. I don't know, and we would know more by then what we need to do.
I think it would be good for us and the public if we have at least one meeting scheduled for August tonight. That makes sense. Like everybody knows there will be at least one meeting. I'm okay if there's 2. I am not here on the 10th. That does not mean we don't have a meeting.
I'm not either.
Oh, all right. Well,
40th wedding. anniversary.
did you say
Yours?
40?
40th wedding
That
anniversary.
is so awesome.
Yeah. Ocean
Yeah.
horizon.
Is he coming home with you?
Yes, yes.
That was brutal.
You're not meeting the fence.
You guys can have a lot of fun.
All right, so let's
You won't
plan on meeting on August 24th,
Yeah.
like we had planned.
I would move it up the
Or-
list to the
or-
3rd.
Or do you want to do the 17th?
Yeah, I would move it up a little bit. We still have like bills in between and make it too far apart.
So do you want to, you're saying meet on the 17th of August. Is everybody here on the 17th?
Yes, I'd make it more towards the middle, so it's.
All right,
fun.
let's have a meeting on the 17th and then we can revisit where we're at on the 20th. And if we decide we want to add a special meeting for any reason, we could change and add another meeting sometime between the 17th and our meeting in September, which is not till the 14th.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of a lot, that's like a 30-day window that we might want to meet after the
Yeah.
17th one time, but we can discuss it at our next meeting and maybe we'll have a little more information or whatever to talk about. So we'll definitely plan meeting on the 17th. You want to make a motion and that we,
So moved.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Just so it's formal and then we will.
So to go back to Jane, I thought that we were supposed to, that there was a possibility we were gonna be doing part 1. And starting maybe tonight. So I started looking at the form. And one of the things that I really got puzzled
Yeah,
about how to apply this
yeah.
to a village.
Because it's really structured to be applied to a very
One
specific site.
specific,
Yeah.
it's project, and
Right.
then I was like, okay, first page, all
Right.
easy, and then I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And then I started, there's all this, no, not applicable, not applicable, not
That's-
applicable, not applicable, and then, I just started, a whole page isn't applicable.
That's exactly right. And
So-
Ted can back me up on this. 90%, I'm not that high. 75% of part 1 is not applicable. 25% is just, it's our village. It's the size of the village. It's the whole village. It's every property in the village. And it's a zoning change and that jumps us, it's automatically a type 1 action. And that just pushes us right into part 2, which is for us to answer some questions. If you start reviewing those questions, you're gonna hit the same roadblock.
Yeah.
I did that today. And I'm like, boy, this is so hard because it's not a site specific thing. what we're thinking, so when this is a school of thought with EDR and Brad Hunt, who was here tonight, who's going to be the lawyer taking us through all of the secret process, legal.
We hired him?
He's part of Ted's firm.
Oh. Right, okay, sorry.
So that allows Ted to continue representing us in the manner that he does, and then Brad can be very specific to seeker issues. So if you sit back and say, this is what I did, I said like, all right, it's not site specific. Passing this regulation in and of itself is not gonna cause any environmental harm to anybody, anywhere, it's just a regulation. Then I said, wait a minute, we're changing some of the regulations. And for example, in at least one residential zoning district, we're allowing ADUs. So maybe what we need to do is get a baseline where that zoning district is now. What's the build, what would the build out look like? And then if we added ADUs, what would that build out look like? And what's the difference between the two? And is that a mild impact? Is that a major impact? And if it's same thing with some, let's do Limestone Plaza. I think that's the only, well, let's just do Limestone Plaza. So you take the current code and what's allowed in Limestone Plaza in terms of development, where could it go? And then propose a new one, and what's the difference? I don't know how,
So
I mean, the other,
Like do one for each of the districts?
I don't know that we can do one for, or need to do one for each district, but definitely should do it for the districts where there's a significant change.
Okay.
Right, like where I live in that district, it's all allowing the same residential use. Nothing's really changed, just the name of the district,
Mhm.
right? I think, what's I gonna say? We also have the interesting fact that our primary roadway, both of them, three of them, if you want to do it, we don't own. So what do we do about that? We don't provide our own water. We don't provide our own sewer. So what we thought would be very good to do is again, get a baseline understanding of what our usage is versus what their capacity is. So,
Whose capacity?
well, let's take the drinking water, Onondaga County.
Okay,
What's their capacity for drinking water in this area?
okay.
It still is not, it still will be hard for us to say, well, we drink 2 gallons of water today, and if we allow this build out, then it's only gonna be another gallon of water. I don't even know how we could begin to do that,
Right.
literally.
Right.
So it's more of a capacity issue, an understanding of where we're at, an understanding that we're not creating suburban sprawl. And any other, I mean, this is where your each of your respective reviews and thought process through this. So you could say, well, I just want to make sure. For example, the easy one for me is stormwater. I want to make sure we don't flood anybody out.
Okay.
So we can review what we're proposing and say, no, we've got all of our regulations in line, so we're not gonna flood anybody else. So there is no, it's mild
Right.
impact.
Right.
It's, so we get 3 categories. If you look at part 2,
Okay.
you're gonna get no to mild, mild to moderate, moderate to significant, and we have to choose one of those 3.
Yep, yeah. So
Fact that
did
we're
the state kind of fail us here? Because this villages and towns update their code, so, and this bureaucratic piece here doesn't fit, you know, so anyway.
never
I
have.
guess we have to make it fit the best, as Jane's saying, like the best that we can, or make the decisions the best we can based upon what we have for
So,
information.
you know, the other way to look at this is while we look at the code, I think it's really important to, I'm gonna pick a story, a how tall a building can be. Let's say, because I don't have these numbers memorized at all. let's say Limestone Plaza currently allows 3-story buildings. And let's say in the new code, we said, let's up it to 4 because that place can handle 4. I think it's really important for us to see that, look at it and say, I have a problem with this 4th story. I don't think that area can handle it. These are my concerns. And we just all talk about this. ADUs are another very significant, another area where there's people could come back and say, I don't like the way the ADUs are drafted, meaning I support ADUs, but I don't like the guardrails or guide rails that we have drafted in here. They're not enough for me. I'll give you a very clear example. In trying to figure out what guide rails, this is my word, in here are ADUs, and it says an ADU has to be so many feet from the side yard, so many feet from the backyard. I mean, these are guide rails. Where can you put that extra structure? And we said, how tall can this structure be? And we all sat back and we're like, well, someone said, well, as long as it's not taller than the primary building on that residential lot, right? The primary house, as long as it's not taller than that, I'm okay if it's as tall as that. So as a committee, we all talked about it. And we came back and agreed it can be as no taller than the primary house, but it can be that tall. And then someone came back and said, I have a problem with this height. I said, I really have a problem with this height, because if we go that tall, are we going to then maybe, and not require a further setback? Are we putting a 2-story structure 10 feet away from the side yard, right? The answer is yes, you're allowing that. We had a lot of discussion on that. And then I walked around.
Looked at places.
I did.
Yeah.
I tried to pick not easy places. Like I tried to pick where homes are a little closer than you would expect and whatever. And I was with my husband, and I said, you have to be my devil's advocate because we really need to think this through. And the bottom line is, you can add an addition to your house and you don't need anybody's permission. You need New York State code permission, but you don't need to go through site plan review or anything. And if your house is, take my house is 3 stories tall, if you include the attic, I can add an addition and I can cast a shadow onto my neighbor's property and they have nothing to say. So if we say no to ADUs, what are we really doing? And I don't have an answer to that question at all. But that's the kind of head scratching, headache making, decision making we have ahead of us.
So my house,
Yeah.
has 4 different other properties in my backyard.
Other properties?
I have 2, both sides, and then 2 in the.
To the back.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
what could
Where
this
would
look
you
like?
put it?
Where's everybody gonna put them, and what would, I mean.
What if the 4 of them put them in and not you?
I was like, I don't want one, but
But no,
Right.
that's the best way to figure out, do we like how we've set this up? Because I think these ADUs will end up being pretty much in the middle of someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Or they can be attached to your house,
that's more reasonable.
but it's up to the homeowner.
Yeah.
Right?
Cause we have like backyards to backyards.
I do
So,
too.
Right.
yeah.
I have, and I use mine because they're significantly smaller homes.
But you come into where there's
Structures,
dimension, yeah, you come into where there's dimensionally requirements as far as you can't exceed certain things associated with it. The other part of that is you really are looking for, from the planning board, to understand that it actually fits into the community as well. Because you don't want to give somebody the right to just create a structure that literally just towers over everybody else. That's why we chose the height that we did. And when we go by the different residential areas, you're limited by residential area, how tall they can be.
Yeah,
Different residential areas have different heights.
Yeah.
One of the things I had to point out with this conversation we were having
yeah,
in the meeting, was like, they can't do that there. Because it's not allowed, because you can't do a 3-story or a 5-story kind
Yeah.
of thing in certain residential, because quite honestly, most of our large heights for residential are actually done in your combination communities, not your total residential areas. And that
Okay.
gives you a whole different point of view as far as what's going on. So that's the other piece that goes with it.
Now,
And,
there's another piece is our.
oh, there's lots.
Accessory dwelling units can't be bigger than 900 square feet.
No,
So we talked about that. Someone was talking about, well, the house is 2 stories tall. I said, well, that's a really skinny, tall structure.
Oh,
it's trying to
Right,
make
and
it
so-
functional.
It wouldn't make sense, in other words,
So-
building wise, it just doesn't make sense to go 2 stories. It's not affordable. The whole purpose of ADUs, from the committee's perspective, was to provide an affordable opportunity for people to have another type of housing.
Yeah.
People can age out, or I call it graduate out, right?
But it also kind of goes to what Sam was saying is, and the other lady, about the idea that it says this here, but there's other protections that are, as you just mentioned, it's limited to a number of square feet. So yes, you can have something in your backyard, but it can only be, if it can only be 900 square feet, it has to fit that parameter. And there might be other things in there too.
Yeah.
But those are two that just came out as we're talking, where there is some protections in there that we can look at and decide or whatever, if it's good or bad, but at least it's something where you gotta like look at the whole.
And there's another reality piece that goes with this too. A good example is that the town of Manly has approved ADUs over a year ago. They literally have no ADUs yet.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily popular in this area at this point in time. It may become so because in certain parts of the country it has become popular, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be popular. And that's the other piece. Many people don't want that type of housing arrangement in their yard. And that's, their right to do so. The problem is everyone looks at it, but it's like, it's an option, but it's not, at this point in time in central New York, it is not a well-used option. That's the piece that goes on with it.
It's not, it hasn't been needed. It's not
No.
that it's not well used because it hasn't, we as a central community, we bought into suburban sprawl.
Yeah.
And, we're paying for it now. And one of the comp plan says it, a lot of people have talked about wanting alternative housing types. We're not in the business of building housing types, but we are in the business of setting the regulations so those alternative housing types can happen. Right? So one big alternative housing type is an ADU. Another alternative housing type that we've built into this code is mixed use. The only way mixed use buildings were allowed was through some planned unit development, which is you can still do that, but it's a very convoluted process. If you can do a mixed use development down the Limestone Plaza, what a great way for people to get apartment style living in an area that is physically close to shopping needs, right? So you can maybe we can start encouraging alternative mobility, right? Not cars. So back to seeker, right? Your question, that's how we got into all of this. It is, EDR is doing part 1, so you don't have to worry about, I'm not reviewing part 1. They're gonna do it for us and we will review it. We have to accept what they do. It's not carte blanche that we accept it, but they're accustomed to doing part 1 for this kind of work.
okay.
And just so you know, and actually, I've had engineering firms do secret reports, and actually I rejected them when I first came on the board because they were putting in, I didn't think it was proper information in secret, just so you know. So just because they do it doesn't mean we have to accept it. And I would not. That same situation. So that's what goes on. Okay. Okay.
I don't know how we're gonna do this just with our regular board meetings. And I wonder if we're going to need workshop time. Because, just think of the few little things we've talked about here tonight. So anyway, in my
I
head,
mean, we'll look at it, we have to be open to that, to whatever we need to do to make this work.
I just wanted to
So-
articulate that,
Okay.
because of the seriousness of this and the depth of it. I
Right, there's
feel
certain
like-
areas, as Jane mentioned, that are different names, but the same as it was. Kind of, and then there's a lot of things that have changed, so certain things will take more discussion than others, but we'll have to see how that goes again.
Well, we all need to really, review it and understand where we may have issues with something.
Right, yeah,
Okay, and we don't have to do part two right away, we can. I mean, we've got a month. Take your time and review it. And identify the districts, it might be easiest to identify the districts that you've reviewed. The map, you're like, okay, I'm cool with that, and then you review. The use table and you're like, okay, I'm cool with that, and then you can just say, that's a mild to moderate impact, I'm not gonna worry about it. And to me, that feels like the most
I think you suggested that before, take one section at a time and kind of like
Yeah.
way to
try
do
and
it.
grasp it rather than the whole thing or whatever, and then if you have to refer back and forth to different types of things because of what the section is you're looking at, you're be more familiar with it that way
Yeah.
too. Okay, I mean, oh,
I do think that I'm not against workshops at all. And I do think it would be okay if we scheduled a few, and those who wanted to come came, those who can't come don't. I mean, I don't know how rigid we have to be with them. But I also think that we all individually have to do hard work here, because we have to understand what's been handed to us. And then understand it in light of part two seeker
Mhm.
and part three. When we get into that, I don't, I'm gonna just keep talking. I don't want to do that. Sorry.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say? Marguerite, you have anything for the board?
I would like a copy of the resolution of one. No, that you adopted that you did not give me. Second of all, of course, I submitted a letter to you, I don't know if you saw it. About the secret review, I would hope you would consider that seriously. One of the, is I think it can help cut through some of this questioning. There is a provision for a generic environmental impact statement. I believe there will be an EIS required. Because I believe you will do a positive declaration, I think it's mandatory. But there is in the secret handbook and in the regulations, there's reference to a sort of an environmental impact statement that is called generic because it's not the site-specific way normally that the paperwork is set up for. There is a generic approach that is for a whole area wide. And they have suggestions, specific suggestions about how you can tackle that. And so I highly recommend considering that as an alternative, and I would hope that EDR, if they're so expert in all of this, would really be on top of a generic EIS and have done it before and know how that would change the part two, the part one, the part two review. But I won't belabor that now unless you want me to. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you're thoroughly digging into this, because I believe it's a big change. Granted, not everything that's going to be allowed under it would automatically be built right away. True, but it's a big change into what would be allowed and legally must be allowed. If it's allowed in the code, they can do it. You can't say you can't do it to a developer who wants to do it. So I would appreciate you reviewing the letter that I submitted, as well as the letter that I submitted to the Eagle Bulletin. Previously, I believe they published that. Raising kind of what I think is the big picture questions on this. I also want to ask on a totally different subject. I was very interested, trustee Cleary Hummerstedt. In a couple of months ago, when you were describing the I'm interested in the SMTC and the work they're doing. I think that's gonna be important for our village, what they come up with and what we decide. And it ties in with the whole development scheme. But you said something, according to the minutes, you said there was surprising information that came out of that. And I've been curious ever since what was so surprising. And I hope that,
I think I might have said it was not surprising, but we're gonna be able to have the report. It gets approved on June 25th, I believe, and then we'll have the presentation. There wasn't a lot of surprising information, which was not surprising. So the best that we will be able to do from that is look at the traffic calming measures, I think, in relation to other development, but until we get there, the board doesn't know what I'm babbling about.
We get the general idea, because we've been through some of this.
Yeah.
I mean, not.
The 2018
Some of
study.
it is not like brand new to us.
Yes,
But if you come on the 20th of July, there's gonna be a presentation about it, so that might give you some more information, or you can watch it online.
or can you post it?
he will post it too.
Once it's presented, he'll post it. Yeah,
Can you post it before it's?
no,
before
probably,
the meetings?
no, probably not,
Why not?
because he's
You
gotta
don't have-
present it to us. We don't have it until he presents it to us.
I'm concerned about that, but in any event,
Well, yeah, that's
I
okay.
want to
Sorry.
ask you. An observation that I've been making all the time that I would hope this SMPC study will take into account. Is that usually the traffic studies that people do, they look at the peak hour, like 8 to 9, 5 to 6, or 4 to 5, something like that. That they don't ever look at the 3 p.m. type of time, which is with our peak at this intersection here. It's horrendous how long you wait to get through that light with the school buses and the school children crossing and all of that. And I think that to do a proper traffic analysis, you need to quantify and analyze the actual peak time before the traffic gets most congested and most backed up. So I put that forward, hope that they've considered not just those morning, evening type timeframes, that they would please consider that, because I think that's really crucial for our area, because it's the fact. I may wait once to get through the light, through one light cycle.
Well, they're gonna speak to all that, so we're getting towards the end of our meeting. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about with us?
No, is that clear? My question clear? Thank
It
you.
is, and we hope to have those answers when he makes the presentation. They can answer that idea, when the study was done, what time of the day and things like that. That can be a question that he can answer for us. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Then Bill said anything?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.